open wide to the song of my soul. To the song of my soul. My heart is open, open wide, to the songs of my soul. Thank you. We will, of course, give Oliver some grace today as he's doing the best he can in the tech room.
Good morning. Welcome, everyone. My name is Helen Dingus. My pronouns are she, her, and I am your worship associate on this changeable Sunday morning. We welcome you into this sanctuary where we celebrate diversity and learn from one another, no matter our differences, to deepen our sacred connections and transform the world with love. Let us begin our worship with these opening words by Bran Lennox. The mysterious pull of the unanswerable. We have chosen to bring ourselves here to this sanctuary to gather as a community of faith. We join together in solidarity as a covenanted people who are drawn together by the promise of connection and the mysterious pull of the unanswerable. We draw on experiences of love and wonder to lift our hearts and move us beyond the mundane. As seekers, wanderers, appreciators of nature, connoisseurs of curiosity, and creators of connection, our paths have converged today so that we might become present to the spirit that is worship. And so, let us worship together. We are so glad to have you here with us today as we step into the month of May and our theme, Awakening Curiosity. Heather will get us started with a call to community.
Thank you, Helen. I am Heather Norby. I am the spiritual life director for this fantastic congregation, and I use the pronouns she and her. Love plus connection equals transformation. What does that mean? It means that we want you to root yourselves in love and connect with others so we can transform ourselves and this world towards harmony and beauty. So here are some ways to do that. This Wednesday at 5 p.m. here in the sanctuary is our worship committee meeting, and everyone is welcome to come and give their input to the worship team. And then after that at 6:30 p.m. is dinner worship, and we will, of course, be exploring our theme of awakening curiosity. This Thursday at 4:30 p.m. is the East Polk small group. It will be meeting at Helen's house. So if you live in East Polk and you want to get together with others, please see Helen for more details. Oh, have you signed up for hospitality? Oh, well, you certainly can do that because Jamie has made a brand new sign-up sheet, and it's in the hallway, and also they'll have it in the social hall while you're enjoying your snacks. Remember, radical hospitality is a way to be a part of the resistance. Today after service, Adam and I will be hosting a newcomer's corner in the back of the sanctuary. So if you are new or new-ish and curious about what goes on around here, who we are, and how you can become a part of UUCL, please join us. We look forward to getting to know you better. I recently met with the other faith leaders who come together each year to do the Pride in Faith service for Polk Pride Week, which is in June. And we always ask our congregations to be involved in the choir. So if you like to sing, whether you know how to sing or not, if you like to make joyful noise together, please join us for our choir practices. I did put the dates in the newsletter, but just as a reminder, the first one is May 23rd at 6 p.m. at Beacon Hill Fellowship, which is on Beacon Road. And that's where the service is held in June. Last week at our annual meeting, we passed a budget and our new mission statement. which says, our mission is to create spaces for love and connection where all are welcomed into inclusive community, supported in their spiritual exploration, and inspired to act for justice, empowering transformation within ourselves, our congregation, our community, and the world. Love plus connection equals transformation is our motto. Yes, good job, y'all. Thank you. And of course, I did make copies of it today so you can take that home with you and, remember what our mission is. And I'd also like to say thank you to all who came out this last Thursday night to our Interfaith Coalition of Polk County's panel on spiritual practices. It was a deeply enriching evening, and I am thankful for the other faith leaders in that coalition. I'm thankful to all of you who came out to listen and to learn and to ask questions. It was wonderful. All right, so check your order of service and our e-newsletter, which just came out on May 1st, and there'll be more information on what is going on around here. Helen will get our chalice lit.
The flaming chalice is the symbol of this Unitarian Universalist faith. We light it each Sunday, as do UU churches around the world, to create sacred space, to connect us with one another, and to remember who we are as a people of faith. Let us center ourselves in love as we recite the covenant for our shared UU value of pluralism. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. Kelly, would you please do us the honor of lighting our chalice? There's a pencil here, and I keep bumping into it. Let us rise in body or spirit to sing in English and Spanish, hymn number 123, Spirit of Life.
Well, this is the moment when I invite the children, the youth, and the young at heart to come on up. Complicated. Okay. Hi! How is everyone? Good, good. So this month, we're talking about curiosity. Do you know what that means? No? Yes? Yeah. Yeah. What's curiosity? Well, when I was young, there was a man, his name was Mr. Rogers. And I know we had Mr. Rogers and his message last month, but we're going to use Mr. Rogers again because he was such a wonderful guy, and I used to sit in front of the TV and watch him, and he kind of taught me about curiosity. And there was a song that he sang that I really appreciated that I think we're going to share now. Yeah, I'm looking at Oliver. We'll see if we can get it up. Oliver, you have that song, or? He also taught us about being patient, and we can be patient and have grace while Oliver's figuring it out, because we're just very thankful that Oliver is back there today doing the work. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe it got lost in the shuffle somewhere. That's complicated equipment back there. It sure is. Yeah, even Rowan understands. It's complicated. Yeah. So that's okay. I'll just tell you. I don't remember the song, to be honest with you. But what I do remember is Mr. Rogers, walking around in his sweater, his cute little sweater, singing, asking about like, hey, I wonder, do you wonder? Do you wonder about things? And he pointed to a window and he said, I wonder what would be there if it wasn't a window. I thought, oh, okay. It may seem like sort of a mundane question, but actually, it might be pretty interesting. And then he points to like a table and he says, I wonder who made this table. And I went, oh. Suddenly I'm feeling curiosity awaken in me. And then he goes over to his fish tank and he says, I wonder if fish sleep. Do fish sleep? I could probably stay up and find out. I could. If I was that curious and if I could actually stay awake all night, gosh, I can't anymore. I could. Yeah. So what I'm wondering today is, what do you wonder about? What awakens curiosity in you? What are you wondering about right now? Everyone's being quiet today. Anything? What do you wonder about? Your teeth? You wonder about your teeth? Yeah. Oh, do you have a loose tooth? Are you wondering when it's going to come out? You lost 4 teeth? I wonder how does that happen? How many have you lost? None yet. I wonder when you're going to lose your first one. You're about to lose another one too? Oh my goodness. Your sister lost 19? Yeah. That happens. And then I wonder what happens after they fall out. New teeth grow in. Yeah. What do you wonder about? Do you wonder about your teeth? No. Rachel, what do you wonder about? Why we need some? Why do we need math? We have calculators. Why? Why? What is all this math for? Ah, I know. Sometimes I wondered that. Why do we have to learn all this stuff we're just never going to use? And then I got a little older and I thought, I actually think that there's no such thing as learning stuff that's useless. But, maybe that comes with age. I don't know.
What if you're meeting people, you're at church, in a social hall, and you want to have a chat with somebody new, and then they tell you that they love math, and they want to talk about math.
Oh. Have you ever met anyone that loved math? No? There's some people in this room that really love math. So I would encourage you to be curious and to talk to them. I'll give you a hint. Adam is one of them. You know math. You just, yeah. It's just a little boring. Yeah, I get it. All right. Well, I'm going to send y'all out. You're going to go. You're going to go explore. You're going to be curious. You're going to wonder about the world. You're going to ask each other questions and probably play around. And that's a good way to be curious and to explore. I wonder. All right. You are free to go on out. It was very nice seeing you all today. I'll see you after the service, and you can tell me all about what you were curious about.
Here we gather, tucked back in this friendly neighborhood between the beautiful tall pines. We are a small church with big aspirations, but we can grow into those aspirations when we give of our time, talent, and treasures. Delightfully, this is a relationship of reciprocity, for in return for our giving, we receive the gifts of a community, friendship, support, connection, and joy. The ushers will now pass our plates to receive your gifts. Thank you for pretending to be an usher, Dorothy. We're going to get some slides up. Please repeat after me. It is a blessing to be. It is a blessing to be here. It is a blessing to be here now. It is a blessing to be here now together.
This past week, we have seen the news that the Voting Rights Act of 1965 has been gutted. that Florida has redrawn congressional districts, disenfranchising Black voters, and that our governor has signed an anti-diversity in government bill aiming to stamp out pride celebrations. Indeed, it has been a sad, infuriating week. I'm not here to report on the news, but I am here to give voice to our UU values as a way to encourage you to raise your voice in opposition to these things that bring harm to our communities, to Black, Indigenous, and people of color, to poor people, to queer people. Our shared value of justice says, we work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive. We covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. We support the use of inclusive, democratic processes to make decisions. Helen, would you please light our healing candle for us today? Spirit of life and love. As we heal, we ask for your support to help us in keeping our shared value of justice at the forefront of our minds. Encourage us to gather together to find the ways in which we can be faithful to this value, to discover effective ways to dismantle the systems of oppression that perpetuate injustice and trick us into thinking that others are not worthy enough to be included in our democratic processes or avenues of joy, of success, and the ability to thrive. May we find the ways to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities. May it be so, because we make it so. Amen. As a congregation, we come together in many ways. Through collaboration and commitment, we support one another. A ritual of joys and sorrows allows us to put that into tangible practice. Our Joys and Sorrows book is an opportunity to share with everyone here something that is occurring in your life, whether that be an ongoing source of grief or something that made you smile for a brief yet memorable moment. Before the beginning of service, the Joys and Sorrows book is accessible to anyone who wishes to write down a personal joy or sorrow to share. It sits on the podium through the main entrance. And we don't have any entries today. However, I will let you know that Nick Whitlock is home and recovering from his very successful heart surgery. Also, my uncle passed away on Saturday morning, so I'm waiting to hear from family on if I'm going to travel, what is going to happen, how we're going to do services or not. Either way, I think I will be traveling at some point in May. If anything, I'm just going to go see my mom. So, thank you. So as a congregation, we value interdependence. Sharing joys and sorrows through words and ritual is a part of what that means to us. So I invite all of you to partake in our ritual of dropping stones into our joys and sorrows bowls. It is an act of coming together, perhaps with the divine fellow members of the congregation or parts of yourself that you wish to connect with. In this moment, you are welcome to gather some stones at the back of the sanctuary and then come together towards the bowls on either side, in whichever way feels right to you. Please say with me our little prayer. You are not alone. We are holding it together. In this vast universe, there are an infinite number of fascinating things available to our curious brains for exploration. And there are more than 8 billion people on this earth who have the potential to awaken their curious brains and engage in a spiritual practice of questioning. Curiosity killed the cat, they say. But why would they say such a thing? It's like training us to turn off the truth-seeking parts of our brains. And indeed, sometimes seems like too many people have done so. But does curiosity really kill the cat? What happens to a society that isn't curious? Curiosity has been a vital trait, essential to our survival as a species as we've evolved. Perhaps it is more accurate to say that a lack of curiosity puts us at risk of death. A death via division and the lack of connection, mutuality, and thriving. To be curious is to live in accordance with our sacred inheritance. So what are you most curious about? How does curiosity drive you? I ask that you center yourself in a place of openness and receptiveness right now. A place where not knowing feels exciting, but not unsettling. A place where you are vulnerable, but comfortable enough to ask the questions that stir your spirit and keep you awake at night. Do you feel curious? Is this an easy state of mind to arrive at? Or are you struggling? Any answer is okay. This is about knowing yourself so you may cultivate this ancient trait of curiosity. So take a deep breath with me. And search for that part inside yourself that seeks to know more. And when you've centered yourself, or close to centered yourself, take another deep breath and let it out, and let us sing together. This is hymn number 298 in the gray hymnal, Wake Now, My Senses. Feel free to stand in body or spirit. I love to come to this place so I can be around like-minded people. Is that something you hear often? Is it something you say often? I suspect it's common in many churches. And it is something I hear many of you say around this place. And I get it. It feels like a true statement. And in a sense, it is. But to be more precise, we might say, I like to be around people who share the same values as I do. And that's why I come here. But are we really like-minded? I would conclude, especially after last week's 30-minute or more debate at our annual meeting about using the words of, for, all, and people in 45 minutes in our mission statement, that like-minded might not be the appropriate descriptor. But of course, isn't that a wonderful thing? Yes. Because can like-minded individuals come together and be as fruitfully creative and as prosperous as when differently minded people do the same? Yeah. Anyone living under an authoritarian regime that disenfranchises Black voters and cancels DEI can tell you that. Or can they? The point of all that BS is to not create anything new. It is to disempower those that are different and who want change. It is an attempt to do the impossible, to force everyone to think the same or else. Unitarian Universalists are and have always been the heretics who fight against tyrants and the consequences of their single-mindedness. My next question is, how come we think, and we often say out loud, that we're like-minded individuals? Perhaps, since we share values, we make assumptions about how others think about those values and how we should live them, concluding that certainly we all must be on the same page. Perhaps that is simply a matter of comfort for us. And we do need to be in our comfort zone sometimes. But is that a place from which we can truly learn and grow? While the hope is that we are all centered in love, I think it is vitally important that we recognize that it is not true that we are like-minded if we are to value the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and if we are to live into relationships of mutuality in this interconnected web of life. And so the consequential question here is, are we curious enough about one another to realize how different we actually are? Are we asking one another the right questions and then really listening to the answers? To be curious is to live in accordance with our sacred inheritance. Each one of us has a unique brain, unique experiences, and unique perspectives on the world that result in us all thinking differently. Are we curious enough about that? As Unitarian Universalists, I would say that we are generally curious people. One of the common sayings you might hear in a UU church is, we have more questions than answers. But more questions about what? Are we only theologically curious? Intellectually curious? Emotionally curious? Can we be more socially curious? Are we curious enough about one another to know what each other's burning questions are? There's many ways to be curious and an infinite number of things to be curious about. While I was doing research for this sermon on curiosity, I came across one Digital Science magazine's recommendations for what to read next. because obviously they assumed I was curious about humans. And these articles were titled with perhaps other people's burning questions like, why are humans the only species with a chin? Did modern humans wipe out Neanderthals? I do wonder about that. Why do some people still believe that aliens shaped ancient civilizations? And my favorite, why do children eat their boogers? I didn't read to find out. I didn't read it. But I was curious. That leads me to ask, why are we curious about such things? Are the things we are curious about essential to our lives? Are some things we want to know about a waste of time and completely irrelevant to our lives? Or do we stand by what Unitarian author Kurt Vonnegut said? We are here on earth to fart around. Don't let anybody tell you any different. I've always believed that nothing we learn is useless. Turns out there's truth to that. Even if that learning is never recalled and used, the process of curiosity and learning is essential to our living and our evolving. One BBC writer states, evolution made us the ultimate learning machines, and the ultimate learning machines need to be oiled by curiosity. Let us not suppress our curiosity, and let us foster it in others. Because to be curious is to live in accordance with our sacred inheritance. Today, psychologists generally agree that human curiosity is not about satisfying an immediate need, such as hunger or thirst. They say it is an intrinsically motivated desire for information gathering. Geneticists explain that there probably isn't any single curiosity gene that makes humans wonder about the world. However, they do contend that curiosity has a genetic component. Genes and the environment interact in many complex ways to shape us, resulting in a great diversity of behaviors that stem from that natured and nurtured curiosity. Interestingly, however, research on songbirds revealed one particular gene that was responsible for motivating some birds to be more curious about and exploratory of their environment. That gene is also found in humans, and it is known as DRD4. Scientists have labeled it the adventure or wanderlust gene, and they claim it is linked to higher levels of curiosity alongside restlessness and novelty-seeking behavior in about 20% of the population. They have discovered that it affects dopamine signaling in the brain, which often pushes individuals towards exploration, learning new things, and even risk-taking, which is when we might exclaim, remember, curiosity killed the cat. And we can actually locate some truth in that statement because, as it turns out, evolutionary science has uncovered the fact that this DRD4 gene was highly prevalent in migratory human populations, which very likely did result in the death of many people as they moved into unknown territory before learning how to survive there. Just think of the early ancestors who migrated towards the very northern parts of this hemisphere and had to devise some very ingenious ways of living in frigid tundras. No matter our genetic makeup and the intensity of that DRD4 gene, we were all once infants, absorbing an incredible amount of information in a short period of time, and curiosity supported us through this early and very significant part of our lives. If infants weren't curious, they'd never learn anything, and development wouldn't happen. Researcher of language and communication Catherine Twomey teaches us. We are all born to be curious beings. And to remain curious is to live in accordance with our sacred inheritance. But how did humanity awaken this trait of curiosity, and how do we keep awakening it? To remain curious is to assist our species in an ongoing evolution that supports the thriving of life. That intertwining of genetics and environment has cultivated in humans a trait anthropologists call neoteny, meaning the retention of juvenile characteristics. According to BBC science writer Tom Safford, it means that as a species we are more childlike than other mammals. Our lifelong curiosity and playfulness is a behavioral characteristic of neoteny. Neoteny is a shortcut taken by evolution, a route that brings a whole bundle of changes in one go, rather than selecting for them one by one. Evolution, by making us a more juvenile species, has made us physically weaker than our primate cousins, but it has also given us our child's curiosity, our capacity to learn, and our deep sense of attachment to each other. To be curious is to live in accordance with our sacred inheritance. But are we truly cultivating this sacred curiosity? Perhaps not if we think that we are like-minded individuals. Our anchor quote for the month was taken from the popular show Ted Lasso, in which the main character Ted models empathy, humility, and vulnerability. And one of the lessons he taught in order to build a bonded and well-functioning team between differently minded individuals was be curious, not judgmental. Is judgment the opposite of curiosity? Jonathan Haidt, author of Righteous Minds and The Anxious Generation, argues that we need to disengage from our phones, our screens, and social media and engage and interact in the real world with should have seen that coming, with curiosity and with one another. Because what's happening when we spend so much time on our screens is that we are being fed media that is created to make us furious and judgmental. To think that those people think one way and that we think another, and that there's no solution. We then face the world with that troubled and pessimistic attitude instead of one that is open and curious, one that can find the complexities. And we feel divided, and we are dividing ourselves instead of being curious enough about one another to figure out a way forward. Do we think we are so like-minded here because we are so divided out there? Kino mentioned to me a couple months ago that David Brooks claims that only 30% of the population is curious. That's a shocking statistic. So I checked out his book, How to Know a Person, and noticed that Brooks is talking about social curiosity, or curiosity about other people. Brooks believes that while many people are friendly and tell funny stories, only about 30% are true questioners, those who are genuinely curious about the life stories, inner worlds, and perspectives of other people. Brooks's work emphasizes that to improve conversations and relationships, people must develop the habit of asking deep questions and practicing curiosity. That is the way to cooperation among humans. Are we skilled enough to know what those good, deep questions are? To be curious is to live in accordance with our sacred inheritance so that we may support ongoing evolution. Humans are still a part of this sacred process of evolution that brought about life on Earth. Life never stops evolving. And our curiosity fosters learning and innovation, just like it did for humans thousands of years ago. So as we figure out how to live in a world with severe climate change, new disease, and artificial intelligence, we need to engage one another. The questions that we ask matter to the evolutionary process. Cooperation matters to this process. I don't only blame social media for all of our ills, and there are ways for human cooperation to occur via our technology. But white supremacy culture is also at play here. We live in a country that was established with a culture that says there is only one right way. If you disagree with me, you're wrong. If you are different from me, you are less than human. Humanity has been made sick with this way of being together. Wannabe tyrants are attempting to legislate curiosity right out of our very beingness, turning us away from what it means to be human. But millions of years of evolution cannot be disappeared so easily. My fellow Unitarian Universalists, we are alike in many ways. But we are also very different, and our brains just simply do not think the same way. What a blessing. It is our sacred task then, in reverence for our ancestors and the amazing adventure story of evolution, to explore with great curiosity our differences. It is our task to adapt to the changing world, to find the ways that people who think differently can cooperate, learn, celebrate, and make meaning together. It is our calling to engage our great yet different thinking skills in a co-creative manner so we can come up with new and more vibrant ways to live our shared UU values. We were all born to be curious. That is our sacred right. So let us ask the deep questions that help us shape justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. May we center ourselves in love and our sacred inheritance of curiosity and find the many ways we can flourish together. Amen.
Let Your Spirit Be Surprised by Reverend Tandy Rogers. May your wonder be bigger than your fear. May your questions lead you gently into truth, not control. May you meet the unknown with wide eyes and let your spirit be surprised. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in our closing hymn, number 1064, Blue Boat Home.
It's in the teal hymnal. The teal one, the thin one.
Kelly, will you come extinguish our chalice? And please join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world.
Well, fellow travelers, let us go out into the world together and find those really good, easy questions. And remember, you are loved, you are worthy, and you are a blessing.
And remember, check your newsletter and think of all the questions that you need to bring to service 3 weeks from now.